What's up guys, Nightingale here, and welcome to another Intermediate Traveler's Guide video. Today we're talking about Gearing 201. Now, you're probably going, why are there 3 gearing guides already? Well, look at it this way. Gearing 101 is for brand new players, to introduce them into gearing, sets, stats in general, and just get them established to get them to start beating the story. Gearing 102 is to get you progressing and into Wyvern 13. That's the big goal. Or whatever major hunt you are trying to go into, it's trying to get you there. Now, Gearing 201 is to start saying you are completing Wyvern with a high success rate. You are rarely failing. You are now starting to farm other hunts. You're starting to make the progression into, I'm starting to develop good, high quality gear, or just better gear than my starter gear, and trying to progress forward. So today we're going to cover your next level of standards. We're going to talk about getting charms and using fodder. We're going to talk about rolling stats and when is it bricked. And we're going to talk about what's Reforge Quality today. What we're going to do is use a couple different units as examples for next level standards. What is the next level standard for you? It's getting off of the 75 gear. It's getting you into all 85 gear, 90 gear. It's working you into now building your stats higher than what they were. We're going to be looking at finding good rolled pieces. We're going to look at trying to get you into a mindset of start trying to focus main stats with less junk stats on it. Sure, in the beginning, it's all about getting the stats you need. If you need attack, you got to get attack. If you need crit chance, you got to go get crit chance. And there may be 3 bad rolls on there, but if you need that stat, you had to go for it. It's the mentality of stair-stepping. Now, we're raising the standards, we're pushing the bar up again, and now you've got to go a little further, a little bit more of a grind. And that's fine, it's okay. Everything has a standard. What we're gonna do actually is we're gonna use Seaside Bologna's as a example here. Because I already did this to a point with her. Now, I'm using mostly the Abyss set here, which is okay. It's not the best thing for her, but it was good for what I wanted to do and the build that I wanted to go with. What we're going to talk about with her is we're going to talk about the next level standard by using the sword that I used to get started while I looked for a better sword. In the beginning, when I set her up with the PvP shop's immunity sword. You can see it's not terribly bad. I only gained 116 attack. I lost 1,000 HP. I was 4% lower on crit chance, but I had ER on it. I did not need effect resistance for Seaside Bologna. It's a wasted stat, and it rolled into it, unfortunately. Now, this is a reforged quality piece because it's an 88 piece of gear, which is equal to a 90 piece of gear, but it wasn't as good. Now, if you look at her actual stats, let me bring this up so I can see if my head's in the way. Okay, I'm not in the way of the stats. So you can look here, and it's a little bit better. It's taking that next step. Well, what does the sword actually look like? It looks like this. We gained attack percent, some crit chance. It rolled a lot into health and didn't roll into speed at all. This is acceptable for me because I wanted my SSB very bulky because I'm planning on the way I want to use her in PvP. I wanted her attack high. I wanted her to have a lot of bulk to live through a lot of the barrage that she's going to be getting because I want to see how this works out. Would I like her attack a lot higher? Yes. My mentality is I would have liked to have seen somewhere around 4,600 attack, a little less bulk, and more defense. Now, where my standard is going to be raised is I swapped out from a random speed chest that I used day 1 just to get her started to farming up a Hell Raid chest. It rolled more into crit chance and defense, which is fine. I did get a speed roll, 3. It didn't roll great. But if this would have rolled a little bit better into defense, take the speed out, and that speed roll goes into defense, and that defense roll would have rolled better, this could have been a lot better chest. I would still take the crit chance. I would like it. I would like anything above 75% chance. I'd be fine. So I have a pretty good wiggle room next month on a immunity chest to see if I can improve this, or just actually try to farm up an immunity chest that fits her with the stats similar to this. Do we need crit damage? No. We just want the crit chance, and then we want bulk. So we could end up with crit chance. We could lose the speed for crit damage. It's fine. I wouldn't really care. So with my next level of standard here, it's about raising the bar and now saying I now need more defense. I would like to get the defense around 1100 at the minimum on her. We also have three other pieces that just cannot be, well, 4 other pieces that just cannot be rolled. We have the necklace, which is great, it's giving me the attack. We have the ring, which is great, it's giving me attack. And we have the boots, which is great, it's giving me the attack. But the substats need some tweaking. And this is where it's going to take me a while because I have to become a Banshee farmer to be able to farm the lifesteal. I'm not quite there yet, so this is going to work really well until I can get to Banshee and start farming up the quality gear here where I can raise my standard. Here, I could probably make the difference up. Instead of it rolling into HP, we take a little bit of a cut into the HP stat, go into the attack, keeping the crit chance, not hitting speed. We could probably push SSB to exactly where I wanted, just off of this helm alone and the chest. So fixing 2 pieces could change my entire build completely. Now, what is truly next level standard? Think about it like this. If we roll a piece, say like that sword, the original sword we had. So let me grab the immunity sword. This. Right now, we had 3 good stats on her in total. In theory, if you want to speed your SSB, this has 3. For me, it actually had 2. Health and attack. And they rolled low. It's fine. But my standard was to raise that up. The ER and the speed is technically a dead stat for the way I plan on building SSB. So next level standard for me was increasing that. And I did by gaining a lot of bulk. Like, this sword could not have been better for her in the sense of the stats. We could have had crit damage, which would have been fine, but I don't need the crit damage. It's all about using Rengar's drink and getting off the basic attack, getting the damage off of that. The higher the attack, the better. So the attack stat is more important to me at that point, especially if we're talking SSB. Now, I want to talk to you about getting charms, using fodder, and things of that nature. Well, you can get charms from a lot of different places. You can get it from doing adventure, just going around farming, doing your normal grind there. You can get it from hunts. You can get them from technically the spirit altar. It's there. You can get it from Abyss. Certain levels give them away. You can get it from your raids, your labyrinths. And specifically, it's actually your ancient coins is a great place to get them. As well, I will say technically your conquest points, but here, take a look. So for accessories, this is probably where you'll be using most of your ancient coins, is on the accessories. You never get enough of these, and this is probably the best currency for where we're at in the game. Most people are going to say, well, don't forget the malicious bug charm. Well, that's 1,000 a week, and you only need a few. You only really need one of these. If you're clearing Hell Raid and you're trying to get all 5 bosses beat in a month, you only need one of these a month to get it. It's fine. But personally, this is what you're going to use your ancient coins for. Don't just zero out and buy blindly. Buy for what you need at the moment. Buy a few at a time. Yes, it's taking you more time, but come back here and buy these. Now, the reason why I said conquest points is because this is a bit dicey, because here's what you need to do first. As a intermediate player, you need to be thinking about this. The Unknown Slate. Where I'm at in Master, I gain 350 endurance crests a week. It's going to take me 3 weeks to be able to buy this outright. And at that point, I now have the entire season to waste my conquest points on anything not this garbage gear. What am I going to be looking for if I'm in dire need? Is using my charms down here to level pieces of gear if I'm that desperate, if I'm needing that push. I'm not going to buy the small charms, I'm going to buy the greater charms. Because it's more valuable to me to get that bigger boost because we have fodder. if we're grinding our catalyst like we should be at this point, you're going to have a lot of swords, helms, boots, and chests. You're just going to have a lot of those. The things you won't have a lot of is accessories. So you'll be able to save a lot of these and not have to come here, which is good. Also, I just thought of, too, you also have Automaton Tower. This will drop a good bit of charms in here as well. I just completely, I was like, blanked out. You can also get it from there. You can also get it from Hoochie and the other scam shop in Savara 3-4 in the first episode. But that's also spending gold to get it. You can also get charms weekly from your Alchemist Steeple. Now, I've already crafted up mine for the week. I don't typically, I could do the random equipment charms. My first instinct as soon as reset hits is I do want to grab these. It's 5 charms every week by doing this. And this is a huge jump for you, but the catch is those require the cores right here. So you will have to have an excess of junk. Me personally, I use hit set because as a Wyvern farmer, I'm going through hit sets like it's... I could also even use the dual attack chance ones. The Unity ring, the Unity cores, I could use these as well. But I use hit sets for right now. With my current progression, it's fine. I loot hit set gear, that's great, so I can burn this into that whenever I get junk. It works just fine for me. So you will need a good stash of those. I think it's 150 to 170 per craft a week. It's a little bit expensive. Do we get lucky while we're here on video? Nope, unlucky. Okay, now, using fodder and using charms. Let's go look at a piece that I'm leveling up, and we're going to level it up a little bit to see... to talk about when it's bricked, how to use charms, what are you looking for fodder to use, and cleaning out your inventory as well. I think that's pretty important. We're going to look at this helm here. I've been slowly working on this. This was featured in the original Secret Shop video where I was talking to you about rolling the Secret Shop. You can see its original stats here. This was near perfectly rolled right out of the shop. We're +8. We're going to take it up to +9, and we're going to talk about what stats it goes into. This is a counter piece. This will probably take me quite a while to actually get to using. Now you can look over here on the right and you see that I have a whole plethora of charms. We've got epic charms, greater charms, we've got greater just equipment charms, lesser charms, and lesser equipment charms. These can go on everything, so do note that the ones that have hammers can be used on any piece of equipment, not accessories. And then the helmet charms are obviously can only be used on helmets. We covered that in basics, but do note that if I hadn't, there it is, you can only use them there. Now, if we talk about fodder, what are we able to use? Honestly, you can use anything gray, green, purple, low level, and blue. Anything that is above level 60 and higher, you should probably be turning into cores because it's materials for crafting better equipment. So anything sub 60, the 51 gear, use it as fodder. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to level this up. I personally do like to hit it, but with the fact that this is just scuff gear and I've got to clean it out, I'm going to full send till it pluses up, which it should. As long as it procs good, this will plus up here. So we're going to take our chance. We're sitting at 4 speed, 8 health, 15 defense, 11 crit damage. Do we get lucky? We do. 22 defense. So we got a very good roll there. This helmet is on its way to being Reforge Quality. Now, at this point, judging by how it's already rolled, yes, I'd be full sending this helm anyway because it was near perfect rolled. So any stat that I hit, as long as it doesn't min roll, we would definitely send this helmet. Now, I've talked about rolling. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a graphic here. It should fit. You've seen this before in Gearing 201. What is minimum roll? Well, this is for red quality gear. I still haven't seen an 8 roll on crit damage as far as normal dropped gear, but I have seen it. It is on raid gear, so we will classify it technically that it's still potentially maxed, and maybe it's rare, maybe it's not. I haven't seen it, but I'm still being told that that is there. But I'm still going to say 7 is maxed, according to me. I do have a 5 max rolled speed ring. It's hit set with effect resistance. It's awful. But we can say, you know, it is there. They do exist. The Boogeyman does actually exist. All right. So you're seeing this. This is what you're basically after when you're looking at min rolls, max rolls for your base stats of gear. Picking through the quality of this and now learning how they roll. With this, we're looking for, you know, an 8-speed roll. That would be a max roll. 7-speed would be 3 or 1 off of max. A 6-speed roll would be 2 off of max. And yes, it can actually roll to just plus 5 speed, which is 1 roll, which is really, really bad. When we're looking at rolling, at this point, we are trying to avoid low roll gear. What we're going to do is we're going to go find another helmet, and we're going to speed check it. So let's go take a look at something that has low speed, or has 4 speed that we want to speed check, that has some potential. And we got a perfect candidate right here. This is a pretty decent helm. This could probably be any offensive helm. Now, according to our stats, we're 2 off of max on attack. We are 3 off of max on crit damage, but we have max speed here. So with my thought process, I'm hoping to hit more attack in this helm and potentially speed. And then when we would get it to +9, I don't think I'm going to take it to +9. Just for the video, I want to try speed checking it once or twice to show you the process. Once again, we're going to come down here to our fodder. If you're using charms, do them 1 at a time. If you're using fodder, it really doesn't matter because you're probably having to go, oh, my inventory is full and I need to burn a lot. So just shove it through, clean out your inventory. It still works the same as charms, but are you really trying to be efficient with it, or are you trying to empty out your inventory? You're trying to empty out your inventory. But for this case, I just wanted to roll the +3. I don't want it to go any further. And I'm hoping for a 12% or higher attack roll, or an 8% roll here. Crit damage, we should see a 11 roll if it's maxed. So survey says 14%. Not too shabby. So we got the max attack roll out of this helmet. Very, very, very good. Now this thing's on its way to being good. I have reforged pieces that have this in its stat. So we're going to take it up one more time. We're going to dice the game one more time. So we're going to get it up to 5. Just to stop beforehand so that we can walk it up so that we get to see it. That we need one more. Okay. We're hoping for another 8 attack. We're going to hope for either a max crit damage roll or a max speed roll. That's what we're after here. My hope is that attack goes even higher. Let's go. Survey says 8 speed. This helmet is now probably a full send for most. Now, keep in mind, the +12 will be a new stat. So we're going to lose 1 roll that goes into this. This is the curse and the blessing. The curse and the blessing of purple gear, because you're more likely to get purple gear than red gear. But at the sacrifice of a stat that's not going to be able to go into the 1 stat you need, but it's also the chance that I can make up here and get the other stat I need. I have 3 good stats that I want, but now I have a chance of getting flat attack, flat HP, effectiveness, effect resistance, HP, flat defense, HP percent, defense percent. There's a lot of things that I'm dicing here. The good news is, as long as it doesn't touch it, once it's been rolled, and even if it gets rolled into the 15 roll, I could probably take a gem and gem it over to a stat, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But for the sake of the video, we're going to call this quits here. I don't actually know who this is going to go on, so I don't want to go too much further because I don't want to waste resources into leveling this yet until I know exactly who this is going to go on to. But I can tell that this helmet's going to be great for somebody when I get to it. Now, as far as using charms, it's the same principle. My mentality is I use the red charms past +12 when I'm trying to go to that 13, 14, 15 because it's already been rolled. So now I know I'm having to eat a lot of experience because we've hit +12. We now know that the gear is either good or it's bricked. In this case, this is a very good piece. I've got now one last roll to figure out, is it going into attack or crit damage or speed before it gives me the new stat. And then it's the dice of which 1 in 4 chance, who's it going to go into. We've actually saved this piece and turned it into a fairly average piece. So again, I use the red charms for pretty much anything past plus 12. The greater helm charms, so the purple base charms, I use for plus 9 to plus 12 into the plus 15 range. I use it there. I always use lesser charms to finish off. So in a case, it would look like, well, that's going to full send a level. But in this case, say the XP bar was there, I would be looking at doing that just to push it over the edge if I didn't have fodder. That's the way you want to look at using fodder. As far as blowing up anything in your 85s, for those of you who are wyvern farming or just hunt farming in general, what are you looking at blowing up? Typically, it's if you're not turning it into cores, which you should be. Personally, if it's if it's usable stuff, if you're in wyvern, it's mostly speed and crit rate. If you're in Azmonak, you're wanting to extract your rage and your immunity sets. So your unity set could be fodder. If you're desperate and you have no charms, no nothing, you can craft gear, use the blues, use the crap purples, throw them in there. That's the emergency use of charms. When you're desperate and you're just like, I need this piece, you can go there for that. You can also use your fodder. So in the sense of this, say we rolled a helmet here that we speed checked. We'll say we speed checked this the 7% 3 speed and 33 defense. And we're going to assume we bricked it. And I'll show you a brick piece here in just a second, an actual bricked piece. But we're going to assume it goes all into the flat defense, and it's plus 3 or plus 6. You could use that piece as fodder to level this up. It's perfectly acceptable. It's a complete dead piece at that point. Unless you're just desperate for flat defense for whatever reason, for whatever 5-head idea you have that you are thinking you've got the Galaxy Brain secret stats on. Sure, good. Okay, really quick, I forgot as I was editing the video, I saw that I didn't actually end up talking about the modification gem stuff. So we're going to talk about it really quickly because we technically haven't talked about expeditions yet, so we technically aren't there yet. But because this is technically Gearing 201, I do want to go ahead and point it out here. So for those of you who are waiting for expeditions, they'll be coming later. Now, as far as modification gems go, there are 2 types. There is a rare variant and then the, epic variant. So blue and a purple variant. The purple ones are obviously better and rare to get. They require a lot higher up in the expeditions or a rarer reward. There's a slight difference in them, and sometimes they're worth, sometimes they aren't. I'm going to point out a couple different scenarios on where and how and why you would want to roll a piece of gear. Here we go. We have a set that I've already rolled really well, but we're going to assume that maybe I wanted to change something. So I can't use attack, flat attack, I can't use attack percent, I cannot use speed, and I cannot use crit chance. Well, what else do we have? We have crit rate. Now, do I actually want to modify this helm? No. I actually like it where it's at, and it works really well for Vivian. But in the case this is somebody you are working on, this is kind of how it works. So we'll assume that I don't want flat attack because it's only 43. It's only adding 43 flat attack. Well, guess what? This is what's keeping me right above the 4,000 mark with her attack. So I don't actually want to get rid of this. But if I did, we would come over here. We would click since I happen to have a greater crit damage, this is a helm, this is a piece. Since it is a helm, it can take the crit damage piece. And you can see I can get a roll between 5 and 8%. Now, how this works is if you roll into it, say once, this would be a higher roll. And every roll, it would actually be higher. But now it starts becoming diminishing returns the higher the roll is made. So you have to be very, very careful where you use this. Now, I'm going to show you a case of I don't care, I'm going to do it anyway, is if we come over to the necklace on Vivian, you can see that there's a stat that stands out like a sore thumb here that doesn't actually belong. And if only that was actually the real stat, how awesome this would be. I would be at 99% crit rate right now. It'd be great. But it's not. When I get a hold of one, a speed gem with a crit rate substat, I am rolling this to crit rate. And I don't care that I'm going to lose probably half of that enchantment. Why? It would put me over 75%, and I'm happy. For now, this is a decent Vyvern necklace. It's giving her some bulk. It's giving her the attack. It's got the crit damage. I'm golden. She does her job. She's absolutely collapsed as she is right now. But getting the crit chance a little bit higher would be a lot nicer for me. Before I end up gymming it, I am going to take a couple stabs at a necklace just in case, because I don't want to waste resources. So it's always better for me to at least attempt to make something better. In this case, if it comes down to the screw it mentality, I'm rolling that, I'll take the loss, and I'll walk away for where I'm at in my gear progression. Now, later, you won't want to do that because that gem is way more valuable later on. But it's all about progression. To me, that crit chance is way more important than later on just rolling crit chance onto a piece of gear. Because typically, you can get crit chance if you're not trying. It shows up a lot. You want to be careful, again, with the substats you pick and how you want to roll. And I can't stress that enough. And the perfect example would be something like here. I think this ended up having effect resist on it when I initially rolled it. And I was just like, it's fine. We'll get her a little speed, get her up a little bit closer to 200. I wanted to do it just to see if I could get the lucky high roll. With the speed gem and the rarity, it did roll max at the 3 speed. It gave me between 2 and 3 speed. If I was to mod this, it would go to 3 and 4, or between 2 and 4 speed. This is a gamble for me at this point to gain 1 speed. Sure, it'd put me at 200, but really, with how rare these are, I'm not worried about it. I'm going to save that for a piece of gear that needs speed on it. Maybe it's been touched once, maybe it's been touched twice. I'll see if I can find a piece real quick that has speed 85 that maybe has a stat rolled into it once. Here, we'll show you I've already got crit chance on that, or crit damage. Okay, perfect. Yes, this doesn't have attack percent on it. If we were to come here to this, you can see that it's been rolled once. You can get up to 5 to 8% with a rare gem. So I could actually get the max roll of that if it's been rolled once. Now, every roll after that, it would actually become diminishing returns. What if we did this? You can see the diminishing returns. So when I say Vyvern, and this is with a rare piece, it would be slightly better with an epic piece. This is why you want to be very careful where you gem. Don't waste your resources. All right, let's continue on with the video. Let me show you a bricked piece. I have one. It's in a sword, I believe. We were looking at speed swords. I think we did this on stream the other day. It's not actually bricked. I've got one that's actually bricked. Here we go. It was this sword right here. We rolled speed once, and we rolled into flat HP. That's not technically bricked, but it bricked it in my opinion. We got too far. This one was just, it rolled into effectiveness. Ah, here we go. This is a crit chance one and a attack one. To me, this kind of bricked it. It was supposed to be an offensive sword. Somebody could technically use flat HP. But with what I was after, it bricked it. It was a 5 crit. It was a 4 crit chance. Rolled 3 speed, or rolled 3 crit chance. So it was average roll. But I think it doubled its HP. The attack was there already, and the speed was there already. Because it wasn't a high quality sword, I classified this as bricked. Maybe if I hit Desperation Station, we still have 3 rolls left for attack, but honestly, these swords are going to get foddered in. Another example was, this is low rolled. Low rolled with effectiveness. This didn't turn out as well as I wanted it to. Could have been better, could have been worse. Some of these are just not been leveled up. This isn't horrible. I don't remember who this was for, but I think I was trying to get more attack on somebody and I was rolling crit chance. But the basic thing that you're going to want to look for is what stat are you rolling into? What are you trying to get? This is a very healthy helmet. Holy crap. That's +9. Yeah, this thing's on its way to being a very HP worthy. Well, the plus 12 is going to give you the new stat, so you've got one more shot at pushing that above and being a very, very, very healthy helmet. And then that's the one, that's the 8 speed helm we were just working on. So that's a very good piece. And I've still got to go through and clean this up from Hunt Buff. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Reforge Quality. This to me is a very important step for newer players because it's going to be the point where they're going to start spending some rare resources. And we're going to go to the Sanctuary where we're going to talk about it in the Steel Workshop. So here's the Reforge screen. Now, before we get going, I'm going to bring up this infographic. If I didn't close it out on my screen, I did, but that's fine. I can bring it up here. Okay, so now I'm looking at this. This is the infographic to show you what the Reforge is going to do to your stat, how many times it rolls into it. And this is why when people talk about speed checking, it's so important, because if you get 4 rolls into speed, no matter what, it's going to increase it by 4 speed. That's a pretty big deal. You get a couple rolls into attack, you're looking at a 4 to 7% increase in your additional stat to it. It's huge. Your crit rate, as you can see, you get a couple rolls into it, it really increases that by a good bit. Me personally, this is, I still am trying to memorize the numbers without referencing this, but for the most part, I can look at gear and start going, okay, is this worth, is this not worth? And then it's also about where I'm at. Some people have super high standards and they won't reforge it unless it has this stat. Okay, great, good for you, pat yourself on the back, I don't care. This comes back to the same mentality of Diablo. Sometimes you have to take that overall loss, in this case the materials, for the greater gain of your account. If you're struggling to get gear and struggling to make upgrades, sometimes you have to go, okay, this isn't as rolled as good as it could be, but this is a huge bump. If I reforge this, this is gaining me all this extra stat. Okay, let's look at a few. An example of, we're gonna use my Little Queen Charlotte as a example. Now, when we look at this, some people are gonna say this isn't Reforge Quality. And for you guys, you were right. You belong in another guide system. If you're already watching this and you already know that this isn't Reforge Quality for overall, while it is, it isn't at the same time. For LQC, this is going to do very well because I need the extra bulk and the flat health that it did tap. I believe tapped once. Maybe it didn't. I know it did because it is increasing the flat. It's increasing it by double. Almost, no, it's adding 60? Yeah, 60, roughly. Maybe he didn't touch it. But this helm, or this chest, is, I will reforge. And I probably will do it right here on the video, just to show you the whole process. But we want to look at what is Reforge Quality. I can show you better pieces. That's the thing. I actually have better pieces to show off, but I wanted to show you this because this is hitting that borderline. It's a great bruiser piece. That's what's cool about this, is 22 extra health. I mean, that's 22 health. You're gaining some flat health, which will boost up your stat even more. And then the crit chance and crit damage. This is overall a good bruiser chest piece. Especially where I'm at, I don't have much high quality bruiser gear, so this actually works out really well. This is what I'm talking about, where your next level standard is. This still works very well for me, Reforged, because it's going to be a while before I can get another one that will beat this, because I will have to lose a stat somewhere to gain the roll. Now, I said I have something better, and that better would actually probably be something like Lilius's Helm. As you can see here, we take it from 28 to 33 defense, and we didn't touch anything along the way. We got 1 speed roll, so it only increases it by +1. And we got the crit chance, which is increasing it by 2. We only hit it once. But the defense, we rolled into several times, so we're getting it up to 33%. For Lilius, this is actually a very good piece, but here's the thing. Because we're using Manifestation Stones, this means I've crafted the piece of equipment. This isn't a natural dropped piece of equipment. This takes a lot longer, so you do have to be a lot higher with your standards when it comes to crafted gear. Now, early on, you are given a lot of these for free just because of doing things, beating achievements, and getting stuff. So you will have a small base of Manifestation Stones, but you have to be picky at 200 a swing. You can't just craft all this amazing equipment through the crafting, and by crafting, the equipment conversion, and then expect to be able to reforge a full set. This is going to take a lot longer. That's why trying to get it naturally dropped is better, and equipment conversion is for that last minute, I really need a piece. I really need a piece. And this is one reason why, is the reforge aspect. So this is a very, very good roll. I should probably be doing this, but I'm trying to be stingy with my pieces. Liliest right now, where she's at, doesn't need that extra defense. The stats would be great, but I just don't quite need it yet for her, for where I'm using her and the quality of stuff. When I start really taking her into the next stage of Guild Wars, sure, I need to get this up. But my goal is to double this resource over the next month or so, see where I'm at, and then I start making the true drill in on conversion equipment. Fighter Maya. This one's on the edge for me, because while it does increase her crit damage, it doesn't really increase her other stats by much. So I'm looking at this one going, do I really need this? And in my honest opinion, no. As much as I would love to have the extra 5% crit damage, gain the crit chance. That would actually, I believe if I did this, this puts her almost 100% crit chance. Do I have any other piece? Here's one I actually should probably do, just because of who it's on, is the Spectre Tenebria one. You can look at the rolls here, and I basically touched every roll outright, which is a little weird, but it also kind of oddly works for her in bulking her up. So this ring works really well for Spectre Tenebria. And then as far as boots, these boots are garbage. I would never even touch them. But as far as Wyvern stuff, if we're looking at... let's see here. Lilius's chestplate is a good example of one that I could technically reforge and again, actually do. Spectre Tenebria, as much as I don't want the hit set on her, this is actually a decent reforge for her because it's adding extra bulk, it's getting her crit chance up a little bit higher. It does nothing for me for her crit damage, but as far as bulking her up, this actually would technically be a reforge piece, but I'm still not sold on hit set on her yet. Before I commit to that, which this is a me issue, not a game issue, it's how do I want her built, and do I want to completely start over on all of her gear and work her back up? So once I devise where I'm going to go with that, I will maybe commit to this on her. And that's the other thing. You don't want to just instantly make a piece and then reforge it. Use it for a while. See if it's doing kind of what you're wanting to do. Yes, this would help bulk her up. It would keep her in the fight longer. But my Spectre Tenebria is doing okay where she's at, so I don't need this stat to push me forward. If this was to get me to 100% crit chance, if I was 2% away, I'd probably say screw it, I could use it on somebody somewhere else. But I'm way off from her being at 100% crit chance, so the 2% here isn't going to make or break me at all. As far as helms, here's another good example. This one is actually pretty good for Fighter Maya because this is an example of getting me right to the edge of stats. Between this and, I believe, Maya's chest, I can have 100% crit rate. Maybe I'm going to do that. I have 1900. I still have one more major hunt buff left to go at the end of the month. So I might consider doing this. I might not. Again, I'm trying to work on getting my quality up. And that's the big thing here. Where you're at, you might have to. And I'm going to show you a couple examples really quick before we wrap up, because I think I've got everything you need to know, but I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by pushing it up. You've seen her featured here several times, and this is what I mean by I took, even though they weren't perfect, we reforged them because it put me over the edge to that next step. This was not 90'd all at once. This was slowly taken up. I 90'd this automatically because it was speed. That was the only one I think I did do. Just because I was at the time, I didn't have General Purgus, so having that 16 speed was huge. It pushed her up a lot further. Now, I also think I had an attack boot with speed imprint because I was trying to get her faster. That was, I think, the issue really in the beginning. I mean, we've covered her and talked about her, but this was a guaranteed, should have been reforged immediately because it is 16 speed. 16 speed is huge. Now, on an attack set, not as important, depending on how you're trying to build, but overall, 16 speed, good roll. Here, we were after the attack stat. Also, I was after the effectiveness in the bulk. Honestly, it was lower rolled. This set isn't as good. This technically probably shouldn't be reforged, but this was the difference in pushing her over the edge. I kept trying to creep up that attack stat because I felt like, and I knew it was at a point, it was her damage. But it was also the speed and a few other things, debuff issue. But this helped put me over the edge, as well as reforging this. Now you're probably looking at it going, wow, that's a lot of effectiveness, and wow, that's a lot of crit damage. You're right. If you guys remember, I'm just sitting at the edge of minimum effectiveness. So this was definitely I needed this to 90 these 3 pieces, fixed everything for Sigrid. And everyone sees her on chat and goes, oh my gosh, she hits like an absolute nuke. Yeah, she does. And I can thankfully say it's because of fixing this and getting this dialed back in. Once I fixed all that, Sigrid became an amazing character for me. So that's going to take care of Gearing 201. If you guys have any questions or feel confused or lost, still, feel free to ask me in the comments below. I will try to help you out as best as possible with gearing. I hope I've helped you raise your standards and start moving on to the next phase of gearing. And I'll see you guys in the next one.